So things are going well-ish. You know, I got a nice house here. A lot of decorations, beautiful carpet, wall that matches, TV, GameCube right next to the TV in a pink box. I love the color pink. It doesn't really match with the rest of the color scheme, but, you know, it has a GameCube in it. And, while I was buying all this shit and decorating my house, I realized what was really important. You see, in the middle of all that, my favorite villager, Margie the elephant, she was planning to leave. And I couldn't let that happen. Margie was like, I'm sorry, it's a family crisis and I need to go. Don't make this harder on me. But then I talked to her like 50 times and eventually she decided to stay. So you could say I made it harder on her. You could say that. But I wanted her to stay. And then I realized, like, friendship is not tangible. So I need some sort of tangible reward for being friends with her, because that's how it works. So it turns out, like, I looked it up and you can get portraits from the villagers if you're really good friends with them. So I'm gonna get a picture of Margie's face for being best friends with her, and that will prove that I have won the friendship, that I completed the friendship. I won the game of friendship. If I can get her to give me that picture of her face. But that requires doing a lot of nice things for her, like chores and sending her gifts and inviting her over to your house for like the third time, which is what's happening right now. And that's why I'm sitting here staring at the TV waiting. And you know, there is sufficient background noise in the house now for me to feel comfortable. That was a long-term goal that I've now completed. I always have the TV on and it's always blasting audio from whatever program is on at the time. I have the oscillating fan on constantly, just like real life, and I have music playing in the background on my really old record player. The music is called 2 Days Ago, and I believe you can only get it by requesting it from KK. I also have a really big clock that might make ticking noises right next to the TV. I'm sure you can see it, but I don't know if it makes ticking noises because everything else is so loud. The clock is very helpful for telling me when Margie will show up, though. Speaking of Margie, a lot of these things in this house are from her. The flooring was from her, the wallpaper was from her, that teddy bear was from her, and there's a tea set in one of the corners that was also from her. But we exchange a lot of gifts, so I can't, like, use all her shit, where every square of the house would be full of stuff. You know, I can't use everything she gives me. It turns out being best friends with someone and trying to get them to give you pictures of their face is really hard, by the way. Like, I talked to her a whole bunch and did a bunch of favors and sent her a bunch of gifts, but like, even though she says the weirdest, most deeply romantic shit, like, she said she was glad to breathe the same air as me, which is really weird to say to a casual friend. So I felt like the face picture was coming after that, but no, it wasn't. It's been several more days now, and I'm still waiting on that face picture. You know, it's not like the worst situation. It gives me something to do besides the basic chores of running around and paying off debt and buying shit from my house. Which is good, because I'm pretty happy with how the house looks right now. I think it's got a really nice color scheme, and everything in the room is exactly where I want it to be. It's basically not missing anything save for a trash bin, but there's nowhere for me to put a trash bin, and I don't really have trash. So, you know, when a lot of RPGs, or really any game with NPC dialogue, when you talk to someone and you get repeat dialogue, that generally means stop talking to me. But I found in Animal Crossing Wild Worlds, you don't want to do that. You want to keep talking, even if they say the same thing 15 times until they say something different, and then your friendship will level up, or they'll finally agree to not leave your town. That's what Wild World has taught me. I have yet to try this tactic in real life, mostly because nobody in real life seems to use repeat dialogue phrases, so it's kind of hard to test out. Maybe I should be the one that does the repeat dialogue phrases, so that way I can make them test it on me unknowingly. But I feel like that would be a bit complicated to set up, so I'm not so sure about that. Is Margie here yet? I guess a lot more has happened since the last video also, in addition to me getting a bunch of shit. I did finally get a shovel, so now I could dig up fossils, and I donated some fossils to the museum and sold a bunch of gyroids. I gave away a lot of shirts, mostly to Margie. Like, Margie was constantly saying, wouldn't it be nice if I had new clothes, so I would go and buy her new clothes literally every day, and now her house is full of clothes I gave her. It's kind of funny. There was a penguin that briefly moved into the village and then left almost immediately after, and he wore the town flag as a shirt, which was kind of funny. Very patriotic, though. Let's see. I have some trash just sitting outside my house to collect flies, so that way I can catch flies when I get bored. I am wearing winter clothing right now. I also got some winter clothing for Margie, but because it was a hat, she's not going to wear it, since they can't wear hats. But it is winter clothing, so I think it counts. Yeah, I'm wearing a sweater and nice warm hat, because it is cold outside. In Animal Crossing, at least, in real life, it's not cold outside, which is depressing. But yeah, things are good, aside from the fact that Margie won't give me a picture of her face. I don't know why she feels the need to be so difficult about that. You know, I was looking at the back of a box of Corn Pops, I think it is, which is like a cereal. And it had like a crossover between multiple cereal brands, and one of the cereal brands was Apple Jacks. And all the cereal brands were auditioning for a role. But the thing is that Apple Jacks is two people, like it's cinnamon and apple, and they were auditioning together. And I get that there's a kind of camaraderie between the two. You know, they want to do everything together. They want to sign up for movie roles together. They want to go to the bathroom together. I get it, but I feel like at some point, you're going to weigh the other person down. Like, a producer's going to say, oh, I want apple, but I don't want cinnamon. And are you really going to hold Apple down by trying to be with him at all times? Margie's almost here. Only like 2 more minutes. I mean, I understand the Apple Jacks mascots have a very deeply profound relationship. It's non-traditional, it's not necessarily romantic, not sexual, but there's clearly something deeply profound and personal going on there, and they feel as though they shouldn't be apart, and I get that. But there are some things you simply can't do with other people. Something you can do with another person, though, is get a picture of their face. Like, if Margie would just give me a picture of her face. That does require 2 people, though, which is why I'm waiting for her to show up at my house right now, and have been waiting here for an hour, doing nothing, except sitting on that couch and watching TV. Any second now. Alright, just 1 more minute. Any second now she'll show up, and then we can become closer friends, and I'll be 1 step closer to getting a picture of her face. Which will prove I won. That I beat the game of friendship, and I'm the best at friendshipping. And no one will ever question my friendshipness, because I will always have a picture of her face that I can show to everyone, and be like, you see that? I got that because I was friends. Huh? Can you say that, huh? Do you have a framed picture of your best friend's face in your house right now? Oh shit, she's here. Oh yeah, I also changed her catchphrase to Hun, which is H-O-N, by the way. Anyone who spells it H-U-N is wrong. It's H-O-N. I changed her catchphrase to Hun, simply because I know someone that's really bothered by being called a Hun. And I thought it would be really funny to have an animal with that catchphrase for that reason, even though this person that hates being called Hun is never going to see this. The animals you call to visit only stay in your house for like a minute, and then they bolt the fuck out, which really sucks, because you were probably waiting on them to show up for a while. You know, they just like stand in one spot or scoot to the left and right slightly. Yeah, see, she's already leaving. But our friendship will level up. Yeah, you hear that jingle? That means our friendship leveled up. So that's what I'm currently working on. I guess I'm passively paying off debt, but I'm mostly trying to get that picture of her face. And then when I do that, I will focus on getting the debt paid off again. But right now I really want that picture of her face, so that is my current goal, is to win friendship.